So, Nick, I don't know much about you except for the clips I've seen, respectfully. To me, the way I've made my money over the last, 25 years in insurance and finance was watching who has talent. And I would watch somebody, I would say, this guy's got what it takes, right? First time I had Charlie Kirk on at 23 years old, I said, there's something very special about this guy. At 23, I came to my insurance company. I said, this guy's going to be the president one day. Watch this guy closely. First time I watched Tucker, unbelievable talent. When you watch him, humor, sarcasm, intelligence, pushing back, subtle. He's making fun of you. You don't know it. The audience knows it. He knows the art. Candace, talent. Dave Smith, talent. We used to have a comedian working here called Marcelo Hernandez. Who is now on SNL. I don't know if you know who he is or not. Oh, incredible. Yeah. He used to produce Adam's show. And I said, this guy's going to do something special. Now he's on SNL. Vinny, talent. I see you, the way you communicated. Very, very talented. Very capable, very talented. And I've expressed this before on the show before. But I want to know a little bit more about how you became who you are today. And then we'll cover a lot of different topics. So go to high school. 14 years old. Who was Nick Fuentes?
Well, at 14 years old, I was already very political. I've been political since really I was 12 years old.
Why is that?
Well, I just started to develop an interest in politics. There were a lot of political conversations happening due to the rise of Obama, actually, in 2008, 2012. And I wanted to know basically everything about it. You know, when you turn around that age, you start to ask questions about the world and how we all got here and, about things that happened before. And so the first thing I ever watched actually was Thomas Sowell on Uncommon Knowledge with, I think,
the best, one of the
Peter
best.
Robinson. Yeah, they're both excellent from the Hoover Institute. And that was actually the first thing I ever watched, and I just devoured it. I devoured everything.
At 12?
Yeah, 12, 13, 14.
Who introduced you to Thomas Sowell?
I just Googled it. A buddy of mine in school was telling me about the private sector. I said, what is the private sector? What is the economy? And so I just Googled it on YouTube, and that was the first thing that came up, and I watched the whole thing, and it was just, I was enamored by it. And I told my mom, I said, I want Free to Choose by Milton Friedman. That was the first political book I ever read. And one day I came home from school, and it was there on my bed, and I read it.
First book is Free to Choose.
Yes.
Capitalism, free market capitalism, and he was it's really him and Thomas Sowell. I think he came before Thomas did, right?
He did, yes.
Right.
Yeah, well, he was from the Chicago school. So it was Friedman, Sowell, and all the others, and so I read all that stuff in middle school and high school, and at that time I was really a libertarian because that's just what was out there at that time. That was during the Ron Paul Revolution.
And the Fed.
Right, and the Fed, and there was so much online digital content, this is early 2010s, that was being put out by young libertarians. So that's just what was out there and what was available, and so I worked through all of it. Basic Economics by Thomas Sowell, and read about all the Chicago school, even then the Austrian school, the really more libertarian economic stuff. And in high school, I was in Model UN, student council, speech team. I was very active in high school and, one of those precocious, autodidact type young guys. And
were you like this? Were you this vocal?
Oh, yeah.
Were you this intense?
Yes.
So did you get in trouble a lot? Did you get in a lot of fights? Did you get picked on? Did you have bullies?
I was very outspoken. I was very extroverted about politics. I was always getting in political debates in class and in Model UN, but I didn't really get in trouble as much. What's really funny, this might interest you actually, and I've talked about this before, but when I was in Model UN, I was one of the best guys on the team. I would win first place every week, and because if you don't know Model United Nations, you simulate the United Nations General Assembly or the different committees, and it's like role play. It's like a role play game, but for the United Nations. And anyway, so I was one of the better guys on the team, and my junior year of high school, I became the head of the team. I became the Secretary General of the team. But I had a major falling out with the guy that ran the team. He was ethnically Arab, I think, extremely pro-Palestine. And I, at that time, was very pro-Israel. I was on Prager University and Breitbart, and so I downloaded all the dogma from the conservative movement at that time. And so I remember we were sitting in the study hall one day, and they had all the flags of the world hanging up on the ceiling. And I said, why do we have the Iranian flag hanging up? I said, they're the #1 state sponsor of terrorism in the world. It shouldn't be up. And he told me, you got to read The Israel Lobby by John Mearsheimer and Stephen Walt. He said, you got to look at the other side. And we had this like vicious back and forth about it. And that is kind of the only major problem I had with faculty over politics, ironically. Now,
so he was faculty?
Yes.
Okay, so how many years older was he from you?
Oh, he must have been his 40s.
And this school, walk me through the demo of the school. Is it a public school? Is it a private school?
It was a pretty affluent public school,
okay.
Mostly white.
Got it.
Outside in the suburbs of Chicago.
Naperville, what
it was Lyons Township and Western Springs, LaGrange.
Okay. So it's not like it's Chicago. It's a good area of Chicago, mostly white. Mm-hmm. And would you say politically center, left, don't care, Republican? What would you say the demo was?
I would say it's pretty center-left. It's very Catholic, some Catholic, some Protestant. But what's interesting about it is very liberal, but not leftist, not very progressive. So even though we were in the middle of a very progressive revolution under Obama, I mean, these guys were all liberal, but they weren't communists. It wasn't like New York or Portland.
So what year is this? When you were a junior in high school? This would make it what?
2015.
2015. Okay, so this is... Has Trump yet announced anything?
So he announced August 2015. So it was actually right around that time.
Got it. Okay, so you're there, you're getting into these debates in junior year, and then Trump announces, and then what do you do?
So after Trump announced, this is right around the time, he announced in June 2015. And so I was very political, obviously super engaged with the election. And at that time, so this was going into my senior year of high school, I had a radio show on the high school radio station and a TV show on the high school TV station. I did both. And one of my first shows I've ever done in my whole life was talking about the election. And that was a very crowded primary. It was like 17 candidates. I don't know if you remember back then. Mm-hmm. It was Trump and this huge
everybody,
field. Yeah, it was everybody. And so I went through all the candidates. And initially, I was very anti-Trump because I was a libertarian. So I was in it for Rand Paul and then Ted Cruz. And it wasn't until April or March 2016, about 7 months in to my senior year, that I really went in hard for Trump. And Trump, I would say, is the one who red-pilled me, quote unquote.
He's all these guys. These are the guys we're looking at, right?
Right.
That was a Jeb Bush started with $140 million. He was supposed to win it. Carson had a little bit of momentum. Cruz was one of the guys that people thought could do something.
Right.
Nobody thought Trump up until I think Ann Coulter's like, who do you think today's going to win? And she made the comment that I think is going to be Trump on Bill Maher. Everybody starts laughing.
Right.
Okay, so you're in this moment. Trump red pills you first.
Yes. He red pills me on immigration, really. Because at that time, I am preoccupied with this notion of individualism. Very much like you. I mean, a lot of the stuff you say in your show, I agree with you 100%. I guess he reoriented my perspective about individualism, because what I started to understand is that, you remember, in 2015, it felt like the left was unstoppable. It felt like Obama and then Hillary Clinton were going to lead this progressive revolution, and it was just going to get more left every day forever, more pro-woman, more pro-gay, more diverse. And at that time, what felt so suffocating was this kind of political chokehold the country was in. The media's left-wing, Hollywood's left-wing, the press is left-wing. And what woke me up about Trump is one day I was watching the primaries, early primary elections, and Trump was winning all of them. He didn't win the Iowa caucus, but he won in New Hampshire, won in Nevada, and I remember the media was beside themselves, calling it every day for him. And I said, the one thing that Trump has right is he understands in order to take power, well, in order to do what you want to do, you got to take power first. In order to take power, you have to engage the media, because the media is really the enemy. It's a very early kind of understanding of how politics actually works.
And fake news, he hasn't even said fake news yet. So this is pre him saying fake news.
Exactly. But he would fight the moderators in the debates, even Fox News, because Roger Ailes had it out for him early on. And I said, he's going to fight the mainstream media. That's essential, because if you can't fight the media, you can't win. If you don't win, you can't do what you want. And then I thought about immigration and how it's affecting the voting patterns, because I looked at one meme in 2016, and it said, this is what the 2012 election would look like if only white men voted, if only men voted, if only, I'm sure everybody's seen it. And what became clear is that if only non-white people are voting, the country, they vote 90% left. Blacks voted 97% for Obama in 2008, in 2012. If immigration is making the country less white, And if non-white people only vote Democrat, Asians is like 75%, Hispanics at that time, 70%, blacks, 90%. I said, it's clear where the country's going to go, what direction this is headed in. I said, so, and the reason this is happening is because these people aren't assimilating. So before we can even think about individualism, the Constitution, et cetera, we got to take out the media. And by take out, what I mean by that is you got to fight back. And two, you have to secure the border, because if the Democrats bring in all these illegals and legal immigrants, they're going to flip Texas, and that's the way it's going to go. And that was kind of the first realization. That's what made me say I'm all in it for Trump, even though ideologically I wasn't really with him just yet.
Because you're a libertarian at the time.
Right.
Okay, I'm following. So now you're all in for Trump. He's the closest thing to a libertarian. I don't know. I don't think it was Joe Jorgensen, right? Who was a candidate at the time for
Gary
the libertarian?
Johnson.
Right. Yes, you're not going to go Gary Johnson, right? I think he got. Is he the one that didn't know the capital of a country? And I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
Something
Aleppo.
was. Yeah, that's what it was. And it's like, oh my God, this guy can't be. And then they moved on. That was an easy one for him. So you're in that moment. I'm going to go all Trump. What happens next?
So I go all Trump, and I'm a big Trump guy. I get my MAGA hat, and I'm all excited about it, and I volunteer for the campaign and everything. And so he wins the primary in the spring of 2016. Convention happens, I think, July 2016. I enter college at Boston University in September 2016. And this is the first time I've lived outside Chicago. I've lived in the same place my whole life. And it's important to impress upon you and maybe everybody like where I grew up. It's like this pocket of America that never changed. It's a baseball town. Everybody's white. Everybody's obsessed with baseball. Everybody's Catholic. So growing up, I'm going to CCD, which is like catechism class for Catholics. Everybody loves baseball. There's an annual parade where you go and eat hot dogs and play baseball. So this is a place that is untouched by, like I said, even though they're liberal, they're not even really progressive. It's untouched by the progressive politics, by a lot of the diversity, even the crime. It's safe, white picket fences. Take a trip down to Western Springs, Illinois. I mean, you'll see what I mean. It's like the land that time forgot. I go to college in Boston, totally different story. Boston's obviously super diverse. It's a lot of young people because it's all schools, it's all universities, and they're all from Asia, all foreign students, and they're all Chinese, they're all from these Asian countries. And there's also, it's a little dangerous. There's a little criminal element, and everyone on the campuses, they're militant left wing. And that was kind of a culture shock. And I kind of realized in that moment, most of the country looks like this now, actually. New York, LA, Miami, the big cities, and most people live in the cities, they all look like this because of immigration, because of left-wing progressive politics. And I kind of said, in that moment, my slice of America that I grew up with is a dying breed. It's literally going extinct. And I like my upbringing. I love my upbringing. I want to, if I have a family, I want to raise my kids in a place like that. But in 50 years, will there be places like that? The country's going to become majority minority in the 2030s. So when I'm old and gray and I have grandkids, what is the country they're going to look like?
And you're questioning this. You're questioning, you're having this dialogue, you're asking yourself, I'm concerned that I'm going to lose the identity of what it means to be an American. Is it more that? Is it more Caucasian? Is it more white? What do you mean it's going to lose its identity?
It's all of that. It's all of that, that it's not going to be white people. It's not going to be Christian. It's not going to be speaking English. It won't be safe. No baseball, no hot. Like all these different layers of identity are kind of being
Who are you
blown
sharing
up.
this concern with at the time? Are you talking to friends, mentor, peers, relatives, parents? Who are you talking to about this?
It's all my friends in college.
Okay, so this is on BU, you're talking to them.
Yes.
And are they agreeing, disagreeing? What are they saying to you?
Well, we all basically agreed. So we all met at there was a watch party for the first debate between Trump and Clinton. All four of us. We were the only Trump supporters on the whole campus. And we all met at this watch party.
Is this the one that said you'd be in jail? No, that's the second one, right?
Yes, that's the second one. So it was at the first one. We all met. And we developed this kind of tight-knit friendship.
What month is this? Is this September of 15?
September 16th.
September 16th. Okay, got it.
Right. And so, we all get together, and what was interesting at that time, and this was kind of like a cultural moment, is that remember that Trump, when he came around, there was just this explosion on the right wing. They called it the alternative right. That had a very different connotation in 2016 than it did in 17. Because in 16 and even 2015, what it meant up to that point, the GOP and conservatism meant kind of like one thing. It meant like Rick Santorum, like cultural conservatism, traditional,
Karl Rove,
right, all that kind of stuff. And Trump comes along and says, well, I'm kind of agnostic on healthcare. You know, we just want to take care of everybody. He was more of a Pat Buchanan, Sam Francis like nationalist. And so there was this explosion on 4chan and on Twitter of a lot of young right-wing guys that were asking, well, what does it mean to be right-wing? And so there's guys like Stefan Molyneux and Jared Taylor and Steven Pinker and Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro. All these guys come into the fold, and it's much more aggressive. It's younger. It's more dynamic. It's a lot of new ideas or maybe old ideas presented in a new way. And so we were kind of holding like this salon, like this intellectual salon at the Tasty Burger by Fenway, talking about all these new people that are coming around. Richard Spencer, for that matter, Peterson, race and ideas like race realism, like Western chauvinism, people like Gavin McInnes. And we were all kind of developing our ideas and what we thought was right. And ironically, none of these guys were even white. One of them was Turkish. One of them was actually Assyrian. I know you're Assyrian.
Who was that?
So he's an Assyrian guy from
Really?
Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, some young man.
Wow. Was he a Christian man or no?
He was Christian.
A Syrian man from Australia.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
And one of them was Jewish even. And so he was Russian Jewish. And a lot of people say about me, I mean, I'm an American ethnic. I'm not English or German. I'm
Fuentes. What's Fuentes?
Mexican.
And who's your dad's Mexican?
My father's half Mexican, yes.
What's his other half?
Irish.
And then mom?
She's all Italian.
All Italian. Parents, when we're talking to the crew, they're telling me that mom had some influence politically. Is it mom that had more influence politically or dad?
I really wasn't too influenced in that way. Really more by my grandmother, by my mom's mother. She was very conservative.
Who did she believe in? Who was her heroes? She would say, Nick, you got to follow this guy. Nick, you got to read this book. Nick, you got to watch this. Who would she talk about?
She loved Mark Levin.
I got it. Okay. So super safe, conservative, pro-Israel. This is who your grandmother was. Okay.
Hi, I'm Nick Fuentes. If you want to text me or call me or ask me a question, you can find me on Minect.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.